This is the Real Love Talk podcast, where we show you how God's love and self-love can help you get to your desired destination. If a God-designed marriage is your goal, then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Shenique Luke.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Real Love Talk podcast. I am your host, Shenique Luke, and welcome. You made it back. I'm so happy to see you. So today we have a very special guest for you. Now, I know her from social media. We'll see where this goes. We may be embarking on a new, found relationship, but it's really important for me to find women who scream loud about Christ and the things that they're doing. And so when I saw her page, I was like, okay, I have to ask, gotta get her on the show. So I have India with me today, and she's just gonna share her journey. Look, nothing's perfect, right? And I haven't even heard it yet. But what's important is just transparency, women talking, and just letting our guards down and telling and showing one another how important it is to just have a conversation. And so we're going to dive into her journey. But first, I'll let her introduce herself.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm really
excited.
excited. And as you said, my name's India Jonassaint online. And I also call myself a millennial corporate mama.
Okay.
So definitely am a mother, wife, been married almost 8 years soon. I can't believe that because the time goes so quick. I'm like, wait a minute. So it's been a great journey. I'm excited to just share and be transparent, just like you said.
Yes, we are excited to have you. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule, because I know how the little ones, they're like, where are you going? Am I going with you? No, I'm going by myself. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So you say you've been married for 8 years. So tell us a little bit. Let's go back 8 years ago. How did you guys meet?
That is a funny story. It's not really funny. Like if you ask me, I have my version. My husband has his. But ultimately, we did meet on Instagram.
Okay.
Like most of us millennials are like a lot of online or, in church, etc. So I met him through mutual friends on Instagram. And to be honest, at first, like I wasn't 100%. Like when I saw him, like, oh, I'm interested in him. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like, oh, that's my brother in Christ, And after some months went by, I was like, you know what? I really started to notice his character, things he was doing. And I was at a place where I had prayed and told God, I said, I don't want to talk to anybody else. I don't want to meet anyone unless that's going to be my husband. I was at that point. And literally the next day, he had reached out to me. There was a little, light flirting, but I gave him the hint, like, hey, I'm interested. So
like the DM?
Yep,
Okay.
in the DMs. If you ask for my number, I'll give it to you. So he did. And ever since that moment, 6 months after we got engaged, 3 months after that, we got married. So a total of 9 months of relationship before we got married. But if I could go back, I would do it all over again. It's been great.
So when you say his character, what did you see that stood out to you?
And again, this is just judging off of online, right? You don't really know people until you know them. But just noticing those he hung around, how he spent his time, things he shared online, that really stood out to me. And I could tell he was different than, honestly, anybody I had ever known before. I was like, he's for real. And if I give him the time of day, he's not going to waste my time. I could tell he was very serious and intentional. And that's kind of what gave me the green light to be like, you know what? I'm open to this. I'm really open. And ever since that moment, he never showed me otherwise, that he wasn't intentional or he was, not who I thought he was. So that was the biggest thing for me, just from a, surface level, looking at online, observing from a distance. I was like, he's for real. He really does love God. He's not just saying that.
Okay. So typically social media, we know someone, we follow someone, because were you guys connected through a friend, or was it just a random follow?
There were so many mutual friends through churches.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it works. It was like, oh, I came across you because there's a friend of a friend. Like, I honestly can't even pinpoint exactly who it was, but there were so many.
Okay.
That's how I came across him.
So now, 8 years ago, online dating, was it taboo, or were you like, Was it had to become a norm? Because what was that?
It was 2015.
Yeah.
Yep. I think then, because of the rapid growth of
Yeah.
like Instagram in particular, it became more normal.
Yeah.
And honestly, at the time, like my best friend, other people I had been friends with, I met them through online.
Oh.
So it became very normal for me to develop relationships and friendships online, people that I actually trusted. So I actually was not, completely opposed to that. Honestly, like other relationships, that's how I met them.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, this is a thing. I'm, open to it.
I remember my aunt, she probably was one of the first people. She met her husband, and of course she's older, and it was like,
what, right? What are you online?
Excuse me. So it's just interesting how much it's evolved. And you're right. I didn't think about like friendships too. Because like you interact and you're talking, like people know what's going on with my daughter and, oh, she started school or whatever. So it's interesting. I never thought about it. I only think about like dating. But,
right.
All right. So, hi, ladies. Shenique Luke here, your love preparation coach. So you asked, and now I'm answering. The Love Prep Academy is opening its doors for enrollment for our signature program. Are you ready for your happily ever after? Are you ready to have the life that you've been praying for? Are you sick and tired of wondering, when is it going to be my turn? Well, this program is for you. I'm here to send a call of action to my ladies who are tired of doing it their way and are truly ready to give it to God. So I'm challenging 25 women to become a part of our founding members program. This program consists of weekly coaching from yours truly, a dating assessment, a private Facebook community, and weekly challenges and homework to help you shift how you see dating and marriage to finally get the results you want. Now, the best thing about being a founding member, not only do you get to be a part of a life-changing program, but you get all access to all things Love Prep Academy from now until forever. That's right, we're locked in for life. So click the link below to find out more. I will see you on the other side. What do you love most about your husband?
Oh, I think I love most his dedication and determination. There's like nothing, and I mean nothing, since I've known him that I've seen him, like once he decides he wants to do something, he's going to do it. I don't care what it is. So that being able to trust him and have that sense of security has always been there, because I've known no matter what, like he's
even from that
he's going to come through. He's going to follow through with whatever he says he's going to do. And that's really important, being able to trust someone that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, that's going to lead your family. Right? That's a big deal.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to, because this is always such an interesting, it feels like a lot of the women that I talk to are always at this space when they meet their husband. I was tired of doing it my way. I told God I was not dealing with anyone else. So how was your relationship with Christ? Like during the time, like what got you to that space?
Oh man. So prior to feeling like actually ready and open to say, all right, I want to be with someone that like I can be a wife to. Before that, it had been maybe 2 years before I was in like a serious relationship. And honestly, that serious relationship I thought was it. I thought this is we're gonna get married. But we didn't. And looking back, like I thank God for certain things, because he knows everything. And I had just spent those couple of years just focused on myself. I had made a decision to move to Atlanta at the time, because I was living in South Carolina, which was huge, because I'd never in a million years thought I was going to move to Atlanta. I love Charlotte. I went to school in Charlotte. I was like, Charlotte is my spot. But for some reason, I came here and visited, and I was like, I just felt this almost like connection, like tug to just go there. And I got a job offer. So during this time, I was just praying, fasting, spending so much time with God, and really, making sure whatever direction I was going, I was clear on. And in that moment of, being in that space of open, I was entertaining people. Like I was like, okay, I'm willing. If you or someone who wants to pursue me, let me see what you're talking about.
Right.
And that would happen over and over again. And I'd be like, nope, red flag.
Not working.
Nope, not working. There was always a red flag that I was like, I can't compromise on this or that, or this just isn't going to work. And in the moment of me just being completely, like you said, fed up, tired, I said, Lord, I've tried being open-minded. I have let people have a chance. I'm praying, Lord. But these, like, no. And,
That's so funny.
and I remember vividly that day because I was crying and I was like, God, I'm so tired of this. I really am. And that's when I was, the day next day I went to Atlanta and I was just there to visit, get a feel for it even more, look for an apartment, etc. And that's when, again, I never like looked at him that way at the time. And I was just so in a space of like, God, like whoever's next, I will know. And when he messaged me, I was like,
Instagram.
I don't doubt for a second your intention.
Lord.
Yes, Instagram. I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a chance. And we spoke on the phone for the first time. He was very clear. He said, I want to be very clear with my intentions. Like, I want to get to know you. I want to see where this goes. And it was all so fast after that. But it's because we knew, like, there's something here.
So it's interesting because you said, like, it feels like you get to when you fully, like, say, God, okay, I'm going to do this your way. I feel like God, like, tugs at you because I remember the same thing with my husband where it was like I wasn't even paying attention. And then it's like one moment your eyes are open. You're like, oh, he's kind of cute. Wait a minute. Like, has he always been here? So it's interesting, but I feel like it's when you're in that position. Tell me about like your position. Like where were like contentment? Like some of the words that I'm like, where were you in that space when you're just like, okay, because, and I'm asking this because I know you kind of said, I was tired doing it my way. But sometimes I feel like when women, they hear us have this conversation and they're like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm ready now.
Right.
So talk about contentment in that season.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because it was in that season. I felt like, as a single woman, especially in the church, there's a lot of messages that are pushed and you hear you need to be content. And when you're content, your husband will magically appear. And that's not true. And what I had to realize for myself, I thought I was on this constant search for contentment as a whole, meaning like once I reached that destination, everything would happen. And really what it was like a daily decision I had to make to be content. And when I figured that out, I was like, you know what? This isn't something where I have arrived. Every day is a choice, is a decision for me to say, all right, where I'm at right now, I want to be content. Lord, what do you want me to do in this season? And I had honestly reached that space. Like, yes, it did not take away the desire to be married. I still absolutely had the desire to be married, to have a family, totally wanted that. At the same time, I was content with where I was and I was enjoying it. I mean, honestly, you ask anybody, especially my best friend, we were both moving to Atlanta together. I had never, ever in a million years thought that right before I moved to Atlanta, I would now be courting this man I met on Instagram and we would be like on this whole journey to marriage. I didn't plan that. I was ready to come to Atlanta,
live your best life,
live my life, have a good time, meet new people, experience new places. Like, that was the goal. I was really in a place of, I'm enjoying this. Like, whatever it looks like, whatever, direction I'm led to. Like, I'm literally picking up my life and just moving somewhere where I don't really know anybody. And that was exciting for me. And I think that's where the mentality shift is important, realizing contentment is a daily thing. It's not this destination you arrive to and then suddenly everything follows after that. It's not like that at all.
Yes. Okay. So was he here?
He was. He already lived here. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about another thing, which I feel like kind of holds us back from moving into marriage. Was he your type?
Oh my goodness. No. Absolutely not. And I tell single women all the time, I'm like, please let go of your type, because oftentimes the man that you will end up with will not check off. Because I used to have a list and I eventually threw it out.
Yeah.
I was like, forget this. It's, at this point, as long as you love the Lord, the same Lord I love, and you believe the same way I do.
Let's be clear.
And I'm attracted to you, right? Like, that's
Right.
important. I want to be attracted to you. That's all that matters. Like, that's the ultimate thing there. And I want to make sure your character is strong, etc. So for me, I had to let go of all of that. And I'll tell you, and Brendan knows this, like, he was not the type I thought I would marry.
Here.
Not
same
at all.
Here.
Like, if you compared him to people I had dated before, no.
Yeah. I had sworn off two things. I had sworn off younger guys and I sworn off light-skinned guys.
Wow.
So I was like,
You
I
really
didn't even
narrowed it
look at him.
down.
I was like, I'm done. And he is 4 years younger.
Wow.
And he's light-skinned. So it's interesting how, and like you said, but I was still attracted to him. So it's not like I'm forcing to be, because that's another thing.
Exactly.
We think that we're going to end up marrying the guy that we're not attracted to. So it's like, no, God will grant you the desires,
Sure
even if
will.
it shifts.
Yep.
So get rid of the type, okay?
Get rid of the type.
You are blocking your blessing. Okay. So you're in this space where you're like, okay, God, I'm surrendering to you. I trust you. I'm moving to this new city. You know, kind of a whole bunch of things that you made. Well, you weren't completely against online dating, but like you're doing things. You're moving. You met this guy on Instagram. You're like, wait, I never thought this was going to be happening. And now 6 months later, so now it's another.
Yep.
Wait, hold on, because we're supposed to date a year and a half to 2 years. So 6 months later, he's proposing. What were you thinking? Were you thinking this was too fast? Or what were you like, what's happening?
I was ready to go. Honestly, like, it's true. It is so true. You know when you know. I tell people that it may be normal, like, for you to have certain things you want to consider a little bit longer, and that's understandable. But overall, you know when you want to be with a person. And from the moment I was like, I want to be with you. You wanted to be with me. And there wasn't, our families, etc. Nobody looked in and this is another thing. The first thing he ever did, our first time hanging out alone, he took me to his mentor's house. And he's like, I want you to meet my mentor. He's been in my life for over a decade. And at the time, I didn't realize what he was doing, but he was wanting to make sure nobody saw something that he was blinded by, because the idea of, I found, this woman, I want to marry her. So him taking me to his mentor's house and just introducing me to different people really showed me his character even further. So when he did propose, even though technically, according to other people's standards or what we normally see, that was really fast. It actually wasn't too fast to me, because funny story, my parents got married 1 month after they met. And they have been married 33 years to this day, very happily married, godly marriage, great example. So I knew it wasn't impossible to meet someone and know, hey, I want to get married to you.
But I also think maybe has marriage been like warped just by society's standards to say it takes a year or two. So then sometimes I'm beginning to realize that if it makes sense, God is probably not in it.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, okay, just like any other thing that we do in our life, we don't go by, because if I offer you a job and God says, take the job, and I just met you, or I don't even do an interview, like, and this is just an example, right? That may not have gone through the normal standard of what it looks like. I'm paying you 6 figures and you're like, I didn't even have to do anything, to qualify for this or to have access to this favor. But then somebody else might think, well, you need to work there and prove yourself. And God said, it's easy and it's light. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to work that hard if you're doing it my way. So I'm wondering, like, as I'm sitting here, And I'm like, maybe it's more society's way than God's way that says it takes a certain amount of time. And then when you show up 6 months later and everybody's like, that's too soon. You're like, no, I talked to my dad and he said it's okay.
Yep.
And honestly, that's all that matters,
Exactly.
right? So I'm like sitting here like, maybe we kind of messed this up.
Yeah, I get the 1 year, people say, oh, see them in different seasons. I understand it.
Yeah.
And I also realized way back when it was we getting married. We're going to the courthouse tomorrow. And that's what we did. We went to the courthouse at first. And then 6 months later, we had a wedding.
So how was that? Like, once you made the decision, like, did you have your friends or family that like went against it, or were they? Hi, ladies. Shenique Luke here, your love preparation coach. So you asked, and now I'm answering. The Love Prep Academy is opening its doors for enrollment for our signature program. Are you ready for your happily ever after? Are you ready to have the life that you've been praying for? Are you sick and tired of wondering, when is it going to be my turn? Well, this program is for you. I'm here to send a call of action to my ladies who are tired of doing it their way and are truly ready to give it to God. So I'm challenging 25 women to become a part of our founding members program. This program consists of weekly coaching from yours truly, a dating assessment, a private Facebook community, and weekly challenges and homework to help you shift how you see dating and marriage to finally get the results you want. Now, the best thing about being a founding member, not only do you get to be a part of a life-changing program, but you get all access to all things Love Prep Academy from now until forever. That's right, we're locked in for life. So click the link below to find out more. I will see you on the other side.
There was a little bit, tension there.
Those weddings, boy, I tell you.
I think it happens like regardless. I think when we tell other married people this, once you get engaged,
I feel
you
like
start to fight
own,
against some different things. It's really about you, but there's this like, because we know the enemy does not like marriage, especially godly marriages. There's like this extra fight and tug of, I want to break y'all apart. And we dealt with that. Oh my goodness. But we know what God has called us to, and we have peace behind this decision, and we're going to do it. And there were those moments, but at this point, we have the most supportive village, family, friends. My family was fine with it, at least my parents. Extended family is, later on, wait, what did you do? What?
Yeah.
And funny thing, we didn't tell everybody when we first went and got married. So now,
which I think is totally okay.
Yeah, it's okay to do that. And now I'm noticing more people are publicly going to the courthouse and saying, hey, forget the big wedding. We rather, spend our money on us and investing into our marriage versus, having this big elaborate wedding. And I tell people all the time, they'll come to me and say, I know you went to the courthouse. How was that? I'm like, absolutely. I recommend it 10 out of 10. Do something small. You don't have to have a wedding. If you want to be together, be together.
Yep. I agree. I wish we would have had a more intimate thing, because it did become more about other people and, like trying to please them. And it was not like enjoyable. Like, I feel like the only thing that don't get me wrong, like I look at every year, I get so sour about it because I'm like, I wanted a small wedding, or this should have been this way. But I know that, I married the right person. Like, I know for a fact, like, none of that stuff really matters in the long run. I know I married the right person. So, I'm happy I always say I'm proud of us as a people, because we're starting to get to the important things, so it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you want to have a party, what do you guys want to do? We get so caught up and I know the pressure, like you said. I think everybody gets so crazy.
You need your
with
cousins,
weddings,
your extended family, everyone. The dress.
I have not talked to that woman in a year. Why is she coming to?
And you gotta feed him.
Why is she coming to the wedding? I don't. What? And I have to invite her boyfriend
Yep,
that
the plus
I have
one.
never met in my.
Mhm.
No. So I support it. Okay, go. I say this. Do what's best for you guys. Like if
Mhm.
you want an elaborate wedding,
Right.
that's awesome. If
Right.
you don't, you know what I mean? Like just I always say if it's in God's like if God approves, like
Mhm.
if it's within what his Lord have mercy, I'm losing my train of thought. In line with his plans, in line with his word, then you can do it, right?
Mhm.
But if it's because of what your parents did or what
Right.
some other couple did, like you really have to kind of check your motives for why you do things as a couple.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, so it's like the root, the motive, we love each other, we're ready to get married.
Mhm.
Have at it, you know. But when it comes down to like people pleasing,
Yeah.
and now you're like fighting with the guest list was the biggest thing that we fought about. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting. So I applaud that. I support that. Go to the court. Okay. All right. So, why did you say yes when he proposed?
Wow. Thinking back at that moment, oh man, I remember that day like it was yesterday. And funny thing, it was supposed to be a surprise, but I like had this inkling, and I just knew. I was like, the time is coming. He's going to propose. I was very well prepared for it. So when he did, I'm like, yes, absolutely, no second guess or doubt. Like you haven't shown me a reason to be like, no, I'm going to need more time to think about this, or I'm uncertain about, this area. But I mean, he was or is someone that, like I said, had character, had vision. He was a hard worker. I've like seen his work ethic. And for me, what's funny is that prior to meeting him, it was really about the money for me. Not that I was a gold digger or anything, but I was like, I want to make sure you'll be able to, provide for us as a family. Like I would prefer if you had this type of career path or et cetera, et cetera. So that could almost guarantee, how well off we would be, right? And when I met him, again, it wasn't even about the type. It was also, you didn't have the occupation I thought that my future husband would have. He was working 2 jobs. And I was totally okay with it because I saw his vision and his work ethic and his character and what he was currently doing. And before we got married, he had gotten a job in finance, which is what he ultimately wanted to do. And to like look at where he is now, I'm like, I'm glad I'm glad I had faith and trusted God ultimately. But that just goes to show it's not all about everything being, cookie cutter or saying, because there's a big thing now about, oh, he has to make this much money.
What do you bring to the table?
Right. And at the time, he was looking at me like, you have this job now, technically in corporate, like you're on a whole nother level than I am. And I never once thought about that, held it over his head, made him feel like he was inferior or anything of that sort. Because guess what? Eventually, he had caught up and surpassed me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all right. This is great. But I was just like really happy with him. And I knew like we would have a good long life together and it wouldn't be like some people, I think, get caught up on they don't want to be lonely. They don't want to grow lonely. So whoever is willing, as long as they're not too bad. As long as they're a good person, I'll say yes. And thank God I wasn't at that place. I was there. That was a serious decision. And I knew I was like, this is not forever because technically, it's why we're here. But I knew like I would have a good life and we would have a long life together and a beautiful family. And I could entrust him with my life, literally, because that's what God called, husbands to do in our.
I love that. That's so sweet. Because I feel like women, if it doesn't come in a certain package, especially when we get older,
Yeah.
we're 30, 35, and we have our, like you say, I was in corporate, I had this job, this is how I wanted my life to be. And then we meet a guy who has so much potential, and God is like, this is the one for you. And you're like, no, he doesn't make XYZ.
Right.
And now you've thrown away the man, or even imperfections.
Yeah.
Because I just did, I talked about recently, remember that they're human too.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to figure it out too. And I've talked about it before, one of the greatest aha moments I've ever had in my relationship was when Mario said, I don't know.
Mm.
And I was like, what? What do you mean? You're supposed to come, you're supposed to have all the answers. And then I was like, wait, like, oh, you're trying to figure it out just like me.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to give him and extend him grace to figure it out. And I know, because we've been hurt or because we've been disappointed, we try to like get stricter on how you can get in my life.
And we kind of misconstrue the standard with the strict, like you said, that word, because it's like, no, that's not a standard. You're being too strict.
But it's because I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to, nobody's going to do that to me again. And he could literally be in your life.
Yeah.
You dismiss him because of something that honestly doesn't even matter. All right. So this platform is for women who desire marriage. My goal is just to have a conversation and to show women that nothing is cookie cutter. No one's life is perfect, regardless of how beautiful. And you have a lot of beautiful pictures. You know what I mean? So it's like, but someone may look at you and be like, she has it together.
No, not at all.
So before we wrap up, if that woman is listening and she looks at you, she looks at other women on social media, and she says, they have it all together. When is it going to be my turn? Why can't my life be that way? What would you say to her if she's struggling to see who she really is through Christ?
Yeah, that's good. And that's the key there, is like knowing your identity in Christ. Because if you don't, then it's so easy to look on social media and compare your life to what is a highlight reel. And we forget people post what they want. We strategically choose what we want to share with others. And while some people, are pretty transparent on their platforms and share maybe their shortcomings or things that they're going through, the reality is that's still only a small part of what the reality is in their day-to-day life. And I know for me, I tell people all the time, I am not perfect. I'm still figuring this thing out. I'm still figuring motherhood out, because motherhood is different stages as your kids grow. And I'm like, I have a child in elementary school now. I have a toddler who's transitioning into soon to be, in elementary in a couple of years, about to have a baby again. Like, most days I'm like, Lord, I'm thankful I made it. I'm not the most, organized person. Everything's not perfect with my career and my job and my husband and my kids. Like, there's so much that I personally have to navigate each day. And I say that to say, like, we have to remember that, like, we all are doing the best we can to navigate through this life. And being a single woman is such a treasure because it is a gift.
Say it again for the people in the...
It's a gift. It is a gift. It is a gift. And it's so funny because I did a YouTube video several years back and I said that and people were so shocked. They were like, I've never heard that before. And I'm like, and that's the problem. You think that marriage is the prize and it's not. They're each different seasons. Marriage is a gift too. They're both a gift. They have their own things to them that make them so beautiful. But don't look as though if you're single that you're not in the gift that God gave you. Because I'm telling you, as a married woman, there are times I reflect on when I was single. And I say, I took that gift of time for granted. That gift of not having to really prep dinner, having a girl dinner, and not worrying about what kids or
being able to come and go without
like having to make
out of a car.
all of that. Like there was gifts in that season I took for granted at times.
Absolutely.
And looking at it now, I know people are like, oh, people marry women is so. People act like we weren't single. I was single before.
Yeah.
have not been married forever, so I get it. And again, the desire to be married is amazing. I believe God gives that desire, and we also have to understand that even though you see all these people on social media that are married and they're flaunting, honestly, their kids around and making their life look perfect, deep inside, they know their life is not perfect. And there are things that happen behind closed doors, and they'll be the first to tell you, like, I am not actually perfect. I just make my life look that way, especially if I get a check for it. But
That's right.
I think people, just stop and ask yourself, like, do I really think God is withholding something good from me in this season? And he, like, if God is the giver of all good things, and if we get to that point to where we feel like God is just holding marriage in this thing, like, all right, chase after it, you have to do this and you have to do that, and eventually I open up my hand and here's the gift, you can be married. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So I think we have to really stop and reassess, like, how we're viewing things, and, like I said, realize contentment is a daily choice. Every day you have to wake up and decide, I'm going to be content in Christ today. Lord, what is it that you'll have me to do in this season? How can I spend my time? How can I be made available to you and to others around me? And in that space, that's where you just might find your husband, right? And you're not even looking. Like, sometimes you go, I got to go here, I got to go there, and make sure I'm available. And it's like, you don't have to do that much. Like, really trust God.
Yeah, but also understanding, even when you're married, contentment is still important.
It sure is.
So it doesn't stop. Like you said, it's not like this destination. And like you said, we look at marriage like it's the end all be all and the prize, and that is good. Your single season is a prize, it's a gift as well. I love that. All right. So let me see how I want to wrap this up. Okay. How important, and I'm switching it up because I usually end with another question, but you killed it with the single season is a gift. What role has Christ played in your marriage?
Ooh. Listen, I know for a fact, and I say this all the time, even jokingly with my husband, I'm like, I am so glad that we are saved and we know Jesus. Because if we didn't, we probably wouldn't be here looking at each other right now. We would not have made it.
Yeah.
There's no way. I truly wonder how people that don't have a relationship with Jesus have a successful marriage. Like, and honestly, I guess successful may look different in terms of, godly versus ungodly. But I just wonder, I'm like, y'all just must use a lot of good psychology. I don't know, because
they're probably divorced.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Even in Christian marriages, the divorce rate is still, like, I've seen it personally, and I'm always like, wow, like, everybody has different things going on, but God is everything in marriage.
Yeah.
And I know if it wasn't for him being able to convict me of my own shortcomings and wrongdoings in areas I need to grow in, and vice versa with my husband, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Because he has his personality and he's very much type A. I'm like somewhat type A, but I can go with the flow a little bit more. So, yeah, you got two headstrong people trying to make it work and raise children and make decisions, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot, and it's beautiful, it's fun. It is a journey that I think shows you yourself. I'm sure a lot of people say it's a mirror.
Okay.
And there's some things, if I was single, there's no way I would have known about myself or seen, like, you are pretty selfish. You can be selfish. You can think about yourself a lot. But it took my husband to say, hey, and point out those things. Like, this is something that I notice, like, or this is how I feel when you say or do this or that. That doesn't happen when you're single as much. You know, you kind of relying on friendships or family to be able to show you certain areas of yourself. But when you get married and have kids, it's everything. Like that is the glue for us. Like at the end of the day, we're like, Christ is holding this together. Like we love each other. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But God is so important in our marriage. And he is the one like leading and guiding us and keeping us and reminding us of what he's called us to do in our roles in our marriage.
That is beautiful. Okay. So you have just made an announcement. You mentioned it a little bit, but I want to celebrate it a little bit more. So tell us what good news you just shared.
Yes. So I'm expecting my third baby.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I think a lot of people, like their next question is like, so did you plan? No, I didn't. Just know, let the record show. This was a big surprise.
Okay.
I joked and told some friends I was on the bathroom floor saying, oh my God, like 30 times. Because I was like, wait a minute. But God is so intentional. Because if it was up to me, I would have waited a whole nother year. Like I was really fine. Like I had my boy and my girl. I was like, yeah, baby would be cool, but I'll take my time. And he literally he's like, all right, you think you can plan everything? No, I'm going to drop this on you because he's the one that did that. And at first it really kind of shook us because we were like, whoa, we did not expect that.
Can I do this?
Right. But I'm so grateful because that prompted us to do other things that God had instructed us to do that we were like, we're comfortable, we're going to chill. But it prompted us and propelled us to do other things and make decisions like that we know we should have done months and months ago. So I'm excited. I really am. We're having another boy.
That is awesome.
Which is exciting.
I was like, this is perfect timing.
Yeah. And I mean, it really is because my kids are older now. So they're a lot more independent. They can help. My daughter's definitely going to think it's her baby. But we're really excited.
Yes. Congratulations. That is truly a blessing. And, I'm excited to see too. I'm like, this third, kind of 5 minutes in the game, but I'm excited for your journey. It's a blessing. Like children are such a blessing. All right. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming. But before you go, I want you to share with the people what you do, if you have just anything you want to share with them, and then how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So best way to get in touch with me is through Instagram. That's how I met my husband. That's how I met Shenique here. It's just how it happens. So Instagram at India Jonassaint. And I always have like an open policy. So whether it's career advice, because I do help other moms in particular navigate through maybe rejoining the workforce, maybe they're looking to get promoted, etc. I love helping other mothers in that regard. And even just marriage talk, or if you're single, I'm definitely open just to share, any knowledge I have or wisdom, pray with you, whatever that looks like. I'll be happy to hear from you.
Yes. All right. Well, the thing that I love the most about these conversations is that there's so many similarities, but like huge differences, right? Because everyone's story is so different. But I always like to talk about the importance of Christ because when you lean on him, he will provide through a 6-month, dating engagement into a lifelong marriage. It's been 8 years. That is beautiful. There are a lot of people that don't make it to 1 year, that don't make it to, 5 years?
Yeah.
And now 3 beautiful children. So lean on him. Trust him. I always say and encourage you to get him involved. He will give you everything your heart desires. And even in the midst, he's going to shift a couple of things. And then you look up one moment and you realize, hey, I don't desire the same things I used to. And that's what living a life with purpose, like purposeful life, pursuing God every single day. She talked about contentment being a journey. Pursuing God is a journey. It's not a destination. So every day we want to just strive for him, putting him at the head of our lives And like she said, it's not going to be perfect. I'm sure some days it's like, what is going on? When you look at it, it's truly a blessing, right? And so thank you so much for joining us. I sincerely appreciate your input and just your voice. So thank you for coming today. And thank you for joining us. So, of course, I always want you to like, comment, share. Share this with your homegirl that may be looking like, I don't know about this dating thing. I'm going to give up. I'm done, God. Don't be done. The life that you are praying for is on the other side of you just completely leaning on Christ. And so I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of the Real Love Talk podcast. And I'll see you next time. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Perfect summation of everything. Everything that you said so far that you've been saying.
Yeah, it was like it was coming out of her mouth, right? I'm like,
it was so crazy.
Okay, Lord,
crazy.
Do the work for me.
Man.
I'm like, wait, hold on, I gotta answer another question. You saw me, I'm like, okay, hold on. Wait, who he? Okay, let me switch this up a little bit. No, that was good. I appreciate you. Hi, ladies. Shenique Luke here, your love preparation coach. So you asked, and now I'm answering. The Love Prep Academy is opening its doors for enrollment for our signature program. Are you ready for your happily ever after? Are you ready to have the life that you've been praying for? Are you sick and tired of wondering, when is it going to be my turn? Well, this program is for you. I'm here to send a call of action to my ladies who are tired of doing it their way and are truly ready to give it to God. So I'm challenging 25 women to become a part of our founding members program. This program consists of weekly coaching from yours truly, a dating assessment, a private Facebook community, and weekly challenges and homework to help you shift how you see dating and marriage to finally get the results you want. Now, the best thing about being a founding member, not only do you get to be a part of a life-changing program, but you get all access to all things Love Prep Academy from now until forever. That's right, we're locked in for life. So click the link below to find out more. I will see you on the other side.